Welcome back to Runeverse. I'm Andrew, and today I'm playing Marvel Champions. This is the fifth and final scenario of the Champions Solo League Season 13. If you want to see, I did nominally participate in the sense that I just made videos for the previous four scenarios. I'm not really participating fully, where you get to like join teams and submit your results, but I will be talking a little bit about what my score might look like. Not that I know how they calculate scores. For this one, I'm up against Proxima Midnight and Corvus Glaive in the tower defense scenario. I have to play on expert, and I have to start with the 3 damage already on the Avengers Tower. The scenario also told me I have to start with this minion out in front of me. I think I have to resolve that ability, so I already took 2 damage. Anyway, I had the option, I have to play leadership, but I have the choice of 5 characters. I'd played all but 2 of them, one of them being Spectrum, and I played, one of my friends played her in a campaign that we played through together. So I didn't play her directly, but I played next to her. So I decided to play the other character I haven't played, which is Vision. And he's going to have this intangible or dense mass form. While he's dense, he gets +2 recover. While he's intangible, he gets +1 hand size. We are starting out as intangible. I think some rules lawyers indicated that maybe you don't get that +1 hand size to start out, but I'm going to go ahead and start out with that 6th card because otherwise his hand size is 5, which is pretty small for an alter ego. And then of course the setup just says that put this mass form into play. In hero form, he's going to have 0 attack and 0 defense. So we'll look at the dense mass form and how it compensates for that in a second. 2 thwart, and then the action density manipulation. Once per round, he can change mass forms, and that's an additional form change to his hero versus alter ego form change. So looking at intangible, you can see this is a permanent upgrade. He can't attack or defend, but that's fine because he's got 0s, and reduce all damage he takes from attacks by 2. And then in dense form, he gets +2 attack and defense, and when he changes into this form, he gets to draw a card. So that is a nice, might get a little boost, have a 7-card hand to start out. Or maybe that's why you're supposed to not have that 6th card from the beginning. I'm not sure, but I'm still going to keep it this way. We're starting with this in play before I draw my opening hand. I don't know where the rules tell you to draw your opening hand. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff on the enemy side. We've got 2 different villains, and each of them has their own main scheme. Basically, Proxima Midnight is trying to destroy the tower, and Corvus Glaive is trying to mess with the heroes more directly. This focused defense card is going to be moving between the schemes in between each player phase in order to indicate which villain is active, but we can choose whenever we affect a villain or a scheme, we get to choose which one we want to do. Proxima Midnight has 1 scheme and 3 attack, and of course because we're playing on the heroic difficulty, we do have the stage 2 and 3 versions that we have to go through. And when she attacks us, we can choose to either put damage on the tower or give her +2 for the attack, and she can't be defeated while Corvus Glaive is still alive. And then Corvus Glaive has that same text for Proxima Midnight, so they both have to be at 0 before we can move on to the second stage, which will be stage 3 in this case. When Corvus Glaive makes an attack, if it's not defended, we discard the top card of the encounter deck and deal damage to the tower equal to the boost icons there. But it seems like in both cases, defending the attack would be very strong. Like defending with allies is what you want to do. So I guess the last thing would just be to look at the tower, which just says that after damage is placed here, if there's at least 9 per player, which is going to be 9 because there's 1 player, remove all of it and flip it over. And then on the other side, if it hits 9, we lose. Also, when it gets onto this side, we have to discard our Avengers Tower from play. And so unless I'm like super confident that we're not ever going to let this flip to its damage side, I'm probably not going to play the Avengers Tower, of which there is one in this deck. Speaking of, I found this deck list. It's a leadership deck from Marvel CDB. I'll have a link in the description so you can see the creator and what all they put in here. And finally, one of the setup instructions told me I did have to put this Black Order Berserker into play. And he says force response after he engages me, choose to either deal damage to Avengers Tower or 2 damage to my identity. I chose to take the damage on the identity. I'm hoping Vision is going to be able to defend himself. So I've already taken that 2. He started at 11 and now he's at 9. I'll put that enemy over there and kick off the hero phase. Oh, I didn't mulligan yet. I'm going to mulligan these 3. Reboot, make the call, and density control. Reboot readies an android, and we've got some androids going on. Vision is an android. And his signature ally, his daughter Viv, is also an android. But for now, I think I'll pass. All right, so I did read the creator of this deck's brief description, and they made it very clear that the center of this deck is Vivian. So to that end, I'm going to start out with the 616 Hickory Branch Lane. Costs 1 resource, as you can see, so I gotta pay 1 resource. I'm going to discard the Avengers Mansion I just mentioned. The bottom left corner, there's a blue symbol, which means this is a mental resource. So I'll discard this card to make 1 resource to pay for that. The type doesn't matter in this case. And this is going to be a support. I'm going to put it into play. An alter ego action means I need to be in alter ego form to do it, but I am in alter ego form, so I'm going to do that right away. Exhaust that card and search my deck and discard pile for an android ally. Add it to my hand. And I'm going to get Viv. So she says, I haven't even read her yet. I just read how important she is. While you are intangible, she gets +2 thwart. While you are dense, she gets +2 attack. That is good. All right, so we're going to be able to take out this Besieger right off the bat. The 2 main schemes started with only 1 threat each. Unfortunately, they do both get 1 per player at the start of the villain phase, which fortunately is only going to be 1, but that's going to be 2 main schemes that each get 1 instead of the normal 1 main scheme would get 1. So I got the Hickory Branch Lane. It's exhausted. We have to pay for her still. So let's go ahead and switch Vision into hero form. And actually, I guess I don't have to yet, but doesn't matter. I'm going to play Kalu. He costs 2. I'm going to pay with Genius. Again, we see mental resources, but this card makes 2 of them. So I'll just discard the 1 card to make 2 resources. He says, after he enters play, search the top 5 cards of our deck for an event and add it to our hand. And then shuffle. We did get an event, only 1. So we're going to add this mass increase to my hand and shuffle the rest. And this would be a powerful defense card. So only if he's dense, he can defend and prevent all damage from the attack and stun the attacking enemy. So it's pretty good. I mean, you have to pay 2 cards for that. You have to pay the mass increase plus whatever card is generating the resource for you. But it prevents all the damage and stuns. It's a pretty good combination. Question is, will I be able to afford... Well, it's an awkward card because you redraw your hand before you'd actually play a card like that. So I'm always tempted to just spend them as resources. But I don't think I need the thwart from Vivian. So I'm going to go ahead and change to dense form and draw a card, see what my options are. This is awkward because I'm going to have this get ready that I could play, but I don't think I want to, because I also have team training that I can't afford unless I don't play Vivian, who I definitely want to play, because I want to be able to attack this before it gets to attack me. So I'm going to play Vivian. I'm going to spend get ready and mass increase. And so she gets +2 attack because we're dense and her ability says so. So she's going to attack for 3, taking 1 consequential damage and taking out the Black Order Besieger. She only has 2 health, so I could have played that get ready to ready her and attack again or thwart, but that would be the second consequential damage against her 2 health, and she'd be gone already. And if I didn't have a team training, I might not be quite as tempted to save it. But team training will give her an extra hit point, which means an extra use. Kalu, I'm going to scheme with, or thwart. He also takes a consequential damage. I'm going to remove 1 from this Under Siege Proxima Midnight's main scheme. And Vision, maybe just attack. I can thwart for 2, but it's kind of wasting 1, so maybe I'll attack. I don't know who's better to attack. It's also a little bit weird because these 2 take turns, but getting 1 down to 0 is irrelevant. They both have to be at 0. It's also a little weird how much hit points they have. I mean, Corvus Glaive started with 11 and she's got 12. That's 23 health. That's more than most villains would have. And I have to beat both of them twice. So yeah, now I've just got these 2 2-cost cards. I could have saved the mass increase, but I think I'm not going to bother. Or we'll see if I draw another copy. For now, that's all I'm doing. So I'll end the hero phase by readying. Get to draw up my hand size of 5. Both main schemes get 1 threat, and the focused event after the player phase ends, this moves. So actually should have moved first, but they both get 1 regardless. And now that means Proxima Midnight is the active villain, which means she will activate against Vision, and because he's in hero form, it means she's going to attack, which means we have the choice to either deal damage to the tower or give her +2 for the attack. I'm going to give her +2 because I'm planning to block with Kalu, so the amount of damage she deals doesn't matter. So her attack is going to be 3 plus 2 from that ability is 5. Exhausting with Kalu, so he's going to take all the damage. hopefully, but let's see what her boost card is from the top of the encounter deck. We're looking just at the bottom right corner, and it's an assault, which means she gets no bonuses, and that's 5 damage to Kalu. He had 1 health left, so he happily took the brunt of that for us. And then we will get an encounter card, which is Exhaustion Surge. This is from the Expert set, so because we're playing on Expert mode, got this more annoying card here. Exhaust your identity. And Surge. Surge means I get another card on top of that. And that is a Warehouse District. So this is from the encounter set that the Solo League setup rules told me to use. It also has Surge. When revealed, discard each other setting environment in play. We don't have any of those. Avengers Tower doesn't say setting on. I was like very worried for a second. Is this going to be discarded? Does that mean I lose? Or does that mean I can't lose? But anyway, we're just going to be in the Warehouse District, trying to defend the tower for now. Each character in play gains Steady, which means they require 2 status cards of the same type to be stunned or confused. So that's actually nice. I'm glad I didn't bother stunning because it wouldn't have taken effect. I would have needed a second stun. And then there we get a minion, another Black Order Besieger, which means 1 damage to the tower or 2 damage to our identity. At this point, actually kind of tempted to just take the damage on the tower. Not like we can't take the damage, but I'm feeling okay about the tower for now. So that'll put us back into the hero phase. Vision is exhausted. He won't exhaust already until the end of this phase. All right, so I'm going to play Make the Call. It costs 0, but we actually have to pay the cost of an ally in our discard pile. So I'm going to pay 2 to get Kalu back. And that's going to let us grab an event from the top 5 again. And let's make it a reboot. Shuffle the rest back in. And then I'm going to spend the reboot along with a Get Ready to play team training that I was going on and on about. Max under 1 per player, and each of your allies gets +1 hit point. So now, when we attack or thwart with Vivian, she will not go to the discard pile. The question is, are we attacking or thwarting? And can we, maybe just take out this minion again. Just do the same thing we did last time. Gonna have to hit the villains eventually. And then I think I'll have Kalu thwart here to keep this clear. And then, you know what? Actually, we're gonna scheme off the armies of Thanos instead, because I'm gonna live dangerously. And I'm going to go into intangible form and into alter ego form. Still exhausted. That's going to increase my hand size up to 6. And then next turn I can switch to solid and draw a card. And if I use Vivian while still in alter ego form, I can use Hickory Branch Lane to return her to my hand afterward. So all of that sounds good, although she will have to scheme or thwart, but I think that's fine because I won't be able to change into dense form while still in alter ego form. Makes sense? Anyway, I'm gonna draw 6, ready all my cards, or I can block with her, but I switched to alter ego form, so there's going to be scheming instead. The focus defense moves to Corvus Glaive. Each main scheme gets 1 threat. Corvus Glaive will scheme. His ability doesn't apply to scheming, only attacking. So he's going to scheme for his scheme value of 2 plus the boost icons here, which is 1. So 3 more threat gets added here. Not bad. And we get an encounter card. Hopefully it's just 1 this time. Proxima's Power. When revealed, Proxima Midnight activates against you. So she's also going to scheme. Her scheme value is only 1 plus the boost of 2. So that's 3 threat also being added here. So they're actually both 1 short of popping, but we don't lose from the schemes. They just make bad things happen. So if this one hits 6, 6 damage is dealt to the tower. And if this one hits 6, each player gets an encounter card. So neither of them is good, but neither of them is the worst. Well, actually, maybe this one is the worst because 6 damage to the tower would flip it to its destroyed side. It only has 9 health on that side as well. That was it for the villain phase. We can go back to the hero phase, and I guess we are intangible, so Vivian gets +2 thwart. We'll go ahead and thwart with her, or I'm going to get good efficient use of this Hickory Branch Lane, but also have an innovation, which would let me heal 1 from her. And then I'll have to do this later. I think it's worth it. So I'm actually going to play Deft Focus, max 1 per player, exhaust it to reduce the resource cost of a superpower card you play by 1. And I'm going to pay using Innovation, which says after you spend this, heal 1 damage for an ally. So I'm going to heal 1 from Vivian before using her, so she'll even out that consequential damage. We have this deft focus in play for later, and she's thwarting for 3, and I guess let's take that off under siege for sure. I'm going to go into hero form and also dense, which means draw a card. I have to keep the armies of Thanos down, so Kalu is going to help a bit with that. Again, he's got 3 health because of team training, so we just get to take 1 off here. I'm going to play Ironheart, so she costs 2, playing with a Solar Beam and a Nick Fury, unfortunately, but she's going to let me draw a card, and that's our 3rd ally. We can only have 3 at a time. Retaliate 1 on this Vision's Cape is nice, but we don't really want to be getting hit. We're going to let our allies get hit for us. So I'm going to spend the Cape and a super dense strike and exhaust Def Focus for 1 to help pay for this superpower card. Our other copy of Solar Beam costs 3. And if he is in dense mass form, it's an attack that deals 7. He is in dense mass form, so it's an attack. It's going to deal 7. Question is where to put the 7. I mean, it doesn't really matter, just the point is we want to even it out and hopefully not waste damage. So I may as well put it on Corvus Glaive and put him down to 2. I wish there was some relevance to getting somebody down to 0, but it just seems like there is no relevance at all. They may as well just have a shared pool of hit points. I guess technically that makes damage calculations less complicated, but that seems like such a weird way to try to trip up players. Anyway, we're going to use Ironheart. I think I do need to focus on thwarting. So I'm going to do 1 from her to take off the armies of Thanos. And then I'm going to have Vision thwart for 2 against Under Siege to take it down to 0. All right, then we'll end our turn and draw 5. Well, I didn't even notice Reboot actually says ready an android and heal 1. That's a little more relevant than I thought. But anyway, going into the villain phase, each main scheme gets 1 threat. This moves before that even happens. Proxima Midnight will attack us. We're going to defend with Kalu. We're going to let her get +2 just like last time. So she's attacking for 5 plus a boost of 1 boost and an effect. If damage from this attack defeats an ally, deal 3 damage to Avengers Tower. All right, so they got us. So 3 damage to the tower puts it at 7. Could be worse. And then we get an encounter card. Proxima's Spear attached to Proxima Midnight. Her attacks gain overkill and piercing. That is unreasonable. And as a hero action, we can take a damage, spend an energy and a mental resource to discard it, and she's getting +1 attack. So that overkill means damage in excess to an ally's remaining health goes to the hero, which would be unacceptable, clearly. Piercing means ignoring tough. We don't have any tough going on right now, but that is threatening for sure. Not next turn because it will be Corvus Glaive's activation, but the turn after that we could either try to avoid that attack entirely by being in alter ego form, or we could try to get rid of that spear by taking a damage and paying the resources. So I'm going to start out with Solar Gem. A lot of times I pitch these resource cards, but toward the end of the game, but this is not toward the end of the game. We're not even halfway through. These guys have more hit points. We got more game to play through today. I'm going to spend Command Team and a Reboot, but this can be exhausted to generate a wild resource. Vision also becomes aerial, so he can fly now in case that matters. And somehow he couldn't before. Move some of these around. Then I'm going to spend that resource. Oh, I calculated incorrectly. This isn't going to be as exciting as I thought. Maybe I'm going to hold on to the Reboot instead of the Make the Call. And I'm going to use the Solar Gem along with Deft Focus to pay for a super dense strike, only playable if Vision is in dense form, which he is. And it attacks for 5 with piercing. So we'll put Proxima Midnight down to 7. So we have 9 more health to go on this side. Vivian can attack for 3, or I can switch forms and she can thwart for 3. I think that is what I'm going to do. We're going to thwart for a total of 4 here. That will defeat Vivian this time, but we can bring her back with Hickory Branch Lane next turn. Or this turn if I were to switch to Alter Ego, but I'm sticking with the plan that I mentioned before. I've got Reboot in my hand left over, but can't really use it. Oh, now I can't attack or defend now. So I'm going to say I attacked first before I switched to Intangible and thwarted with Vivian. Just rewind that a little bit. Deal the 2 damage to Corvus Glaive. then end our hero phase, and I get to draw until I have 5 cards in my hand, but I still have the 1. Corvus Glaive's at 0, but doesn't matter until we get Proxima Midnight down to 0 as well. 1 threat each. Corvus Glaive will attack Vision. He's intangible, so you'd take 2 less damage, and I'm thinking I'm just going to let him take it. He's got 9 health. I mean, what are we going to do with Ironheart? She can just be used one more time anyway, but I'm going to use my health as a resource. Let's do it. So 2 damage. If he makes an undefended attack, we have to discard the top card of the encounter deck and hit the tower. So no, I guess I do need to defend it. Sorry, Ironheart. So 2 damage plus 2 boosts is 4 damage to Ironheart with her 1 remaining health. And now we get an encounter card, which is Black Order Besieger. So that's 1 more damage to the tower or 2 damage to our hero. I think we'll do the last damage to the tower that we can sustain. So that's 8 out of 9. 1 more and it breaks. But for now, we're still in the clear. Oh, and this should have moved here. I did correctly activate Corvus Glaive. That should be here. At the end of this player phase, it should go back and Proxima Midnight will attack, which is why I'm thinking I'm going to go to Alter Ego and avoid her spear attack. Vision can't attack or defend while he's intangible, so I'm going to go ahead and switch to Dense, which means draw a card. I mean, I guess I could have thwarted, which I should do anyway. So maybe it doesn't matter, but I'm gonna stick with switching to Dense. I already drew a card, so I don't want to put that back. I'm gonna do that, and then I think I'm going to Alter Ego. Or is there anything else I want to do in hero form? I think there is, actually. I want to play this card. All right, so if I play this Solar Beam, it's going to attack for 7 and defeat Proxima Midnight. They'll both be at 0, and we go on to stage 3. So I'm going to peek ahead and see what happens. So her game value changes from 1 to 2. Her health is resets to 15, but everything else looks the same. Corvus Glaive gets +1 scheme as well from 2 up to 3, but everything else looks the same except that his health resets up to 14. So nothing bad. Nothing catastrophic happens. Sometimes you change to the next villain stage and something catastrophic does happen. So I feel like I'm in the clear to play this Solar Beam. So I'm going to pay for it with Strength and our Deft Focus. Since it's a superpower, Strength makes 2 resources. And so we're going to deal 7 damage to an enemy, bringing Proxima Midnight down to 0. Fortunately, she gets to keep her weapon, but she's going to stage 3 now. That dial gets set to 15. Corvus Glaive goes to stage 2. His dial gets set to 14. And that is the 29 health that I have to deal with before winning the game. So now I think I can go to Alter Ego form, which means I can pick up Vivian with Hickory Branch Lane. Add her back to our hand from the discard pile. I'm going to spend Command Team and Reboot as well as our Solar Gem resource in order to pay for White Tiger. It's a character I really like. I haven't read a ton of her comics, but I mean, I just love white tigers, so a character called White Tiger is super cool. She has like a mystical amulet from her uncle. I think she can summon a spirit tiger sometimes. I didn't get that far in the comics. But anyway, all we're going to do is draw 3 cards, which is also nice. Which is part of the reason I haven't played this card is because she's really good against expert level scenarios, which we happen to be playing. We get to draw a card equal to the villain's stage number, which usually maxes out at 2 in my games. But now we get to draw 3. So we get this nice statted ally and draw 3. 3 cards left in our deck. So at the end of this turn, we're going to be getting an extra encounter card. I'm going to play another ally, Maria Hill. She just draws 1 card. I'll pay for her with energy. We get to draw 1. And of course, bring Vivian back, paying these 2 cards. And I still have 1 card in my hand, which is a Get Ready. So we're going to get some extra ally uses this turn. Vision is dense and he can't change because he's in Alter Ego. So Vivian's going to have the attack bonus, which I'm perfectly fine with. Let's do her classic maneuver here. Attack for 3 to defeat a Black Order Besieger. There's only 1 threat, so I'm going to leave it because otherwise we're wasting it. And I'm going to do attacks. So that's 1, 2, 3 damage. And I don't know if it matters where we put it, but let's bring Corvus Glaive down to 11. They both get a consequential damage. And we can get ready on Vivian to attack again for another 3. Let's put Proxima Midnight down to 12. So this, I mean, we got a nice board, but this is also the danger zone here a little bit. We just buffed up our villains We're giving them a chance to scheme, and I'm going to be getting an extra encounter card. I also don't have the hand size bonus from intangibility, so our hand size is only 5 in Alter Ego. Reshuffling my deck means extra card. Yeah, maybe desyncing my Alter Ego and intangibility was not great. All right, so this card moves. We get 1 on each scheme. Proxima Midnight activates with her 2 scheme because we're in Alter Ego. 2 plus a boost of 3 is 5 threat added, putting it at 6. That is the magic number, but we timed it perfectly because we've got 8 damage on the tower, and it's also all threat comes off of it. Take a look. It says, when this stage would be completed, remove all threat from it instead and deal 6 damage to the tower. So I get to remove all that threat, and then 6 damage goes to the tower. It's got 8, so that becomes 14 damage. But the tower says, after damage is placed here, if at least 9 is here, remove all of it. So it doesn't matter that it was 14. We remove all of it and then flip the tower. So now if it gets up to 9, we lose the game. And we have to discard our Avenger's Tower from play, so good thing I didn't play that. So there we go. Fresh 0 damage on the tower. And then we get an encounter card, 1 for running out our deck, and 1 normally. City under attack. Corvus orders a regiment of its troops to assault New York City in order to draw the Avengers. Starts with 2 threat, has hinder 1, so we're going to add another threat, making it 3. When defeated, the player who defeated this scheme draws a card. Ooh, a lot of times the when defeated effect is negative. This one is nice, so it's going to have 3 threat, and if we defeat that, we get to draw a card. There's also a crisis. That symbol there means we cannot remove threat from the main scheme, which means any main scheme. Other card is a direct assault attached to the villain who is not active. So it's going to go to Corvus Glaive. When he attacks, the attack gains ranged, which means it ignores retaliate, which we don't have. If that attack defeats an ally, deal 3 damage to the tower, and then discard direct assault, and it adds 2 to his attack. So we have to be careful about his next attack, which will be incoming because we can't just stay in Alter Ego form forever. So he's going to make a big direct attack for 4 damage, and we're encouraged to let Vision take that hit, which I think I'm prepared to do, especially if I'm intangible. So back to our turn. I'm going to use Vivian right off the bat. We're dense, so she has +2 attack. Although the 3 threat is interesting, but I can't change forms yet. So I think I got to do it this way. We're going to attack for 3, and I guess put Corvus Glaive down to 8. I really don't know how best to distribute this damage. It just seems like such a weird thing to have to think about for such a trivial reason, which just seems to be the case. They wanted to be more thematic, that each character has their own health, but mechanically, I love doing things for theme, but not when it makes it more complicated with no like mechanical impact. So, that was her 3rd damage, and she has 2 printed health plus the team training, so she is defeated, and then we'll pick her back up with Hickory Branch Lane because we're in Alter Ego form. So we can use that. We can bring her back out. But I also have Kalu, who would let me dig for another event. This is an awkward hand because all of my cards are allies right now, pretty much. And I can only have 3 allies. I don't know if this is good, but I'm going to play Kalu, paying 2, looking for an event out of the top 5. I'm going to get ready, which is the exact one I wanted. Now let's thwart with White Tiger and Kalu. Both take a consequential damage. It's going to be 3 threat removed from City under attack, which means we get to draw a card. Actually, I'm going to say that I thwarted with Maria Hill instead, because White Tiger has extra attack that Maria Hill doesn't have. Now I'm going to attack with White Tiger for 2. Let's make that against Proxima Midnight, putting her to 10. But then I'm going to play Get Ready to ready White Tiger and attack again, which means she's defeated from consequential damage. Proxima Midnight will go down to 8. Then I'm going to make the call, paying with Solar Gem and these 2 cards to play White Tiger and draw 3 again. That worked out. Could be a little better because we're not going to be able to play Vivian again this turn. We'll have to wait until next turn, but I'm going to hold on to her, because we're not going to be able to use this next turn, at least not until late in the turn, because I'm switching to hero form now. Might as well attack with Vision for 2 against one of them. They're both at 8 now. Corvus Glaive down to 6. I'm going to play Super Dense Strike. He's in dense form, so we get to attack for 5. Spend these 2. Innovation means we get to heal 1 from an ally, which I almost don't actually want to do, because I want to make room. So I guess I'm going to heal Kalu in this case. Could have used White Tiger and then healed her, but I also want her to hit the discard pile again so I can make the call again. Oh, I cheated. You cannot draw with make the call off White Tiger. So I am going to need to reset that. That's too much. So these are the cards I drew. I cannot make the call White Tiger. So let's put make the call back in my hand. I guess I can play Vivian then, but we're not playing Super Dense Strike. I'm going to shuffle these back in. These would be great cards to draw, but let's just keep it random. I shouldn't know what's coming. Not sure if I reset that correctly. I think I spent the solar gem on that make the call. So I'm instead going to spend the solar gem along with make the call. Wait, I have literally no idea what I had. I think I spent these two to play Kalu. I had 6 cards in my hand because of Hickory Branch Lane picking up Vivian. So 5, 4, 3, but his ability meant I had 4 cards again. I played a Get Ready. So that's 3 cards. And then I spent make the call to return White Tiger, paying with these two and this. So these should all be in my hand and Solar Gem is ready. So in that case, I will play Vivian, spending these two. And I'm not a big fan of this card, but I have it extra left over. So I'm going to play a Density Control, which says when I change mass form, discard it, and add a Vision event from my discard pile to my hand. I don't think I have any Vision events I'm excited about. I do have a Phase Disruption that can confuse, but it takes 2 confuses to kick in because of the Warehouse District, and I don't really care about that much. Let's go ahead and attack with Vivian for 3, putting Proxima Midnight down to 5. And then I will switch to Intangible and end my turn. Oh, I didn't even use Kalu? He doesn't have any damage on him? I guess I'm going to... Or no, I healed him. Draw 5. Focus Defense moves to Corvus Glaive's Armies of Thanos. We get 1 added to each main scheme, and then Corvus Glaive will attack us. Ooh, with that direct assault. I forgot about that. So he's attacking for 4 with ranged, which is irrelevant. But if it defeats an ally, the tower takes 3. If we let Vision take it, it'll be reduced by 2 because of Intangible. And this is where I'm starting to think about the rules for the Solo League, because the more hit points we have on our side of the table at the end of the game, the better we do. So if I let Vision drop down versus blocking with Maria Hill, I don't think the solo rules count health on the tower. Or at least I didn't look up the official submission guidelines, but I don't think it would. Well, it would make sense to check that. It's also going to check how much thwart is among schemes that are in play, or threat. But I think I'm going to let Vision take it. Oh, also this is Corvus Glaive though, so he cares if we make an undefended attack, but that would just be equal to the boost icons. Sorry, I'm going to take it. So 4 damage plus the boost of Star. Add the other villain's scheme and attack to this villain's scheme and attack for this activation. Woo! And she has 3 plus 1 is 4. So it's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 damage to Vision, reduced by 2 is 6, and he drops down to 3. That was, yeah, you don't see 4 boost icons every day. So we do trigger this forced response, and there's 0 boost icons. This is not actually a boost, so we don't have to resolve that special. And that's just going to be 0 damage dealt to the tower. And the direct assault is done. Only happens once. Then we get an encounter card, which is another direct assault. So that will go to Proxima Midnight for her to attack with on her turn, along with her spear. So I definitely think I'd like to hide from that, assuming I cannot finish them off. They've got a total of 11 health, but I'm feeling good. So yeah, I'm going to have Maria Hill. Actually, let's thwart. Let's remove 2 threat here. That'll improve our score. Again, I'm not actually submitting, so I'm not actually keeping score, but I still like to play as though I am. That primarily will open up a spot where I can play Nick Fury. He costs 4, which is the rest of my hand. But after he enters play, I'm going to choose a mode, and I think I draw 3. I always draw 3. The damage could actually be useful right now, but I think we're going to have enough damage. I'm going to change into Dense. After I do so, I can trigger Density Control, discard this to get a Vision event, which can be that Solar Beam I just spent. I'm going to play the Solar Beam to deal 7 damage, spending energy and just passing through. 7 damage to Corvus Glaive will bring him from 6 down to 0. Vision can attack for 2, bringing Proxima Midnight down to 3. And Vivian can attack for 3, bringing Proxima Midnight down to 0. accept. I mean, that would win us the game, but that would mean we don't get to score anymore. So I think I would like to remove the threat from these schemes first to improve our score. And I get all the threat removed. I mean, my total health on this side went down a bit. I don't know how that compares to the fact that I got rid of all the threat on that side, but it seems good. And I still have a get ready in hand, so I could use an ally one more time. But we got there. I could have spent slightly differently if I really wanted to get rid of that spear. But as it is, I won. There's no health on the enemy side. There's no threat on the enemy side. I would need to count the number of rounds that it took to win. Not sure what that number is. And our total health on this side is actually only 9, which is kind of low because we let vision get all the way down to 3. There's probably a way I could have not attacked with vision and instead recovered for at least 3, if not more, from his intangibility side, but as it is, I think I'm okay. So thanks for following along on the Champions Solo League Season 13. If you're interested in playing these community created setups, I've got a link in the description to where you can learn more about it, how you can get involved. I'm not really involved except for that I'm making these videos. I probably said that too much already, but anyway, thanks for watching. Either way, subscribe so we can get more subscribers, and bye.